Good morning, tribe. Welcome to Sunday Coffee Talk. Another Sunday. I actually almost forgot today was Sunday, by the way. A little bit off my schedule because it's coming to the, the Thai New Year. So Grand is coming to an end. So a lot of Ang's family, not my family, but a lot of Ang's families coming over and stuff like that. Some of them's coming over for the whole month of April. So it's been a little bit cray a little bit, but we've been having some fun. I still been working at least a couple hours a day. But anyway, for this Sunday coffee talk, if I could talk, is we have a powerful question here: is why the universe isn't giving it to me yet? Okay, and I think that's a common question. That's a great question. Like, I'm putting in all this work. Okay, maybe you're doing all these manifesting techniques, but why is it not coming yet? What's going on? So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we go get into that, first and foremost, remember the super thanks spotlight. Okay, anytime you do a super thanks on this video or any video, that's really what the Sunday coffee talks are going to be about. And yes, to be kind of clear and transparent, I know super thanks cost a little money. It's whatever you want to give. But ask a question, and that's what the Sunday coffee talks will be about, is answering those questions a little bit more in detail. Plus, of course, if it's super sensitive to you and stuff like that, there's links in the description. Either you can join the tribe, get in there, or work with me personally if something becomes a little bit more personal to you. But this is a way just to kind of, the Sunday coffee talks is a way to just kind of engage with people's questions and questions they have, but use it more super things, because as the channel grows, it's your comments are start just going to get lost in an array of comments. Just how YouTube channels are. But anyway, other than that, let's kind of get to why the universe isn't giving it to you yet. And I wrote down some notes here. Remember, the coffee talks are more casual. I'm not planning. I'm not sitting there planning for a day what I'm going to talk about and just get on board and start yakking. And I'll drink my coffee here. Let me take a sip here. So I have a habit of not drinking my coffee while I'm talking, and ends up being cold. But anyway, sitting inside today, we have the door open, bring some light in. Um, this is a great question, and it's a great question, and it's really a hard question to answer because so many things could be going on when we have that immense feeling that we feel like we've been hanging in there long enough, and we've been doing, no matter what type of manifesting technique you're doing, no matter if you want to call it manifesting technique, you want to shift into your identity, or why isn't it coming? What's not working? And we're going to answer. I wrote down about 5 things I want to talk about. And the first one is timing versus readiness. And this is a good one for me, because the more I dig into this, the longer I've been doing this, is you always hear people say, well, the reason why it's not coming is because maybe the person's religious. So the reason it's not coming because God knows you're not ready for it yet, so He's restricting you, or something along that lines. That God knows you're not ready, or God's preparing you. Sometimes we can flip it into, people think God punishes. You know what I mean? Which I tend not to believe that way. That's old covenant. That's the Old Testament. When Jesus came in the New Testament, He started a new covenant. Period. That's a new covenant. So it's kind of like let the dead bury the dead. I'm not saying you don't study the Old Testament, but that's an old covenant. When Jesus came, that's the new covenant, just to kind of make it clear. But people like to go in the past in the Old Testament and give scripture examples how God punishes, but that's old covenant. But I don't believe that way, going down to universal laws and stuff like that. And I actually have a video coming out. I'm going to try to post it tomorrow, Monday. That video is going to be about how Abdullah trained Neville Goddard, and it's really Abdullah's teachings. It's not the cliche of Neville Goddard, because that's what a lot of people do when they say they're teaching Abdullah. They're really just mimicking Neville Goddard. They're really just saying the same stuff over and over and over. I won't, that's all I'm going to say because I'll go down the rabbit hole with that. But that is an excellent video. And that's really a video I've been working on all week just because I was in the mood to do it. But anyway, with timing and readiness, like when things aren't coming to you yet, is it's to me it has nothing to do with God is punishing you or God knows you can't handle it. I think it's more about timing. It's more of you becoming the person you have to be in order to have the thing that you want. So, for example, if you want your dream house, your dream car, you want your dream career, dream salary, you want to be a multi-millionaire. Well, what's separating? Why isn't it coming yet? Is because one, you're too attached to it because you want it and you're looking for it. You're not letting it go. But kind of talking about timing and readiness is you need more time. You need more time to become the person you have to become. Okay. You need more time to shift your identity because if you want to be a millionaire, this is your old identity over here. So this old identity over here is not going to become a millionaire over here. Okay, this identity over here of you is a more successful version of you because that's why that version of you is a millionaire, not this version. So it's we can call it several different things. Even when I used to train with Bob Proctor loved to talk about vibration and vibration frequency. Like what you want is on a different vibration, and you're on the lower vibration. Okay, it's people think in reverse. It's not what you want is up here has to come down and meet you. This is what people think, but that's not the case. Okay, what you want is up here. You got to come up to that vibration and you got to come over here, meaning you got to shift your identity. You got to become that successful version of you. So, with that, this is where we go down the rabbit hole of if you want to be a millionaire, well, how would a millionaire act? I mean, if you had $1 million in the bank right now, cash, okay, what would you be doing all day long? I mean, would you hang around with different friends? You hang around with different groups of people? Would you go to different types of restaurants? Would you freak out paying your bills? Would you freak out going grocery shopping? If your significant other wanted to go out to eat, go to a fancy restaurant, would you be trying to secretly dodge going out to eat because you don't want to spend money? I mean, would you be doing those things? And a short answer to it is probably not. But you see, that's what's separating you, is because that's what you're doing right now, and that's what's keeping your $1 million lifestyle away from you because you haven't shifted your identity yet. You haven't shifted to it. So, like when we talk about timing and readiness, to me, that's more of a real answer rather than when people are really, 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 really religious. And I mean, I kind of grew up really religious. I didn't start going to church regularly until my dad got cancer. That's when everything kind of kicked in. Before that, it was really my grandma. My grandma would always, when I would go over to my grandma's house, my grandma would always sit down and have discussions, and we would talk about it, stuff like that. So when I think back as a kid, I always think back to my grandma. Being really religious, we would have, even as a young kid, sit there and have talks and talk about things and stuff like that. Almost like coffee talk. But one of the things that I saw as I was growing up, and as I think back now, is when a lot of people go to church, a lot of people pick a church that aligns with their current identity. Does that make sense? And what I mean by that, and this is going to sound mean, and I may sound like an a-hole, but oh well. But a lot of people pick, what I mean by that, if you're in poverty, you're in scarcity, most of the time you pick a church where everybody's in poverty, everybody's in scarcity. You know what I mean? You're going into the same identity, not shifting your identity. You're moving into the same group of people that are just like you. You're not going, if you're in poverty and scarcity, you're not going to a church where everybody has everybody's middle class, everybody has a decent job, everybody has a good career, everybody loves what they're doing. I mean, if you're in that situation, lots of times what you'll do is you'll run back to that old type of church. You won't stay because you feel out of place. It's not that people are making you feel that way. You feel that way, that your identity is shaking inside you, and you end up running back in fear. Okay. And that's kind of what I seen growing up. I mean, there's a period of time where when I was growing up, my family didn't make that great money, and I've even seen my mom and dad do this when they started going to church. If they went to a church where people had good jobs and stuff like that, it it made my mom and dad really uneasy. Okay, next thing I know, they didn't like that church no more. The church they picked is a church that everybody was struggling. You understand? So you have to be really careful what you're doing, and and that's what people do. We get this we get the same concept of like we always hear, like you're exactly the same as the top five friends you hang around. Whoever you hang around, your top five friends, you're exactly like them, because it's just human psychology. We're going to hang around with someone just like us. Like our group of friends are going to be similar to us. They're going to make similar money than us. It might not be exact, but within like 10%, they're going to make the same amount of money as you. You're hanging around someone exactly like you. And this goes for your significant other as well. Okay. Because I want to throw that in there, because a lot of people will say, well, I don't hang around with those people. I don't hang around with that one. But if I follow you through your life, 100% you do. And if I follow you through your life, one of the things I'm going to see is your significant other is just like you. They're not above you. They're either just like you or they're below you. Okay. I know this might rock some feathers here, but I'm just talking about consciousness. That's all I'm talking about. Uh, but I think I hit the timing and readiness pretty hard, because I got some 5 points. What timing and readiness, part two, we kind of already talked about. Part two is why the universe isn't giving you what you want yet, is your identity alignment. I mean, you can get what you want. You get what you are and not what you want. Make sense? And I kind of already explained this a little bit, but that's exactly right. When you're dealing with manifesting, you're dealing with identity, and the reason why it's not coming yet is because you have to work more on you. You have to work more on personal development. And I know that's what people don't want to hear. People don't want to hear like, oh, I got to work on me. You know what I mean? I thought I could just ask for it and it will come to me. Okay. It is that easy. It really is. My nose is itchy here for a second. Sorry about that. But it is that easy. But it's that easy when you shift that identity, when you truly believe you can have what you want, when you truly deserve you can have what you want. That's when things start flying to you like flies on shit, pretty much. But identity alignment, it's that's what you have to understand. It's your identity is who you are right now, is what you believe, the secret you, your secret thoughts, what you murmur to yourself all day long, what you truly believe, and not what you tell other people, but what you truly believe deep down, what you tell yourself deep down, what you murmur about yourself deep down all day long, what you whine and complain about all day long. That's your identity. And that's where we're saying is you get who you are, not exactly what you want. You might want the dream house or dream car, the dream career, but if what you want doesn't match with your identity, it's not going to come to you. It's going to stay away from you. This is what you got to understand. But also what you have to understand, manifesting is working for you because what's being shown to you is who you are right now. That's just the mirror effect. That's the self-reflection of your 3D world. Because what's inside me right now is just what I see in my 3D world right now. So manifesting is always working, but it's coming from your identity. It's coming from your core beliefs, your secret you, what you don't tell anybody. You know what I mean? We all have secret thoughts. We all murmur to ourselves. We all talk to ourselves. Makes sense? And that is shaping our world. So that's really what's going on. I don't want to repeat myself, but that's I mean, it's your old identity here, your new identity here. Okay. One of them has to win. And you either do away with your old identity and you move way over here to your new identity. And this is when you start seeing things flow to you, what you really want. But if you keep on hanging on to your old identity, well, down here, your old identity, that's what's being shown to you. It's not your dream house, your dream car, your dream salary. It's just a self-reflection of your current beliefs and thoughts and thinking, what you think about yourself. Bottom line, what you say to yourself. Okay, you have to become self-aware in this in this whole identity thing. Once you become self-aware, you start catching yourself saying things about yourself, like you're making like I am statements about yourself, like I am this, and you're actually just saying a commandment over your life, and it's in a negative way. That's why even if you listen to Neville Goddard, is is that it's he always talks about self-awareness. Okay, I know it sounds like a cliche. When I say be self-aware, and you're like, okay, Chad, I don't know, oh yeah, be self-aware. But it's true, because once you're self-aware of what you're doing, once you start paying attention to what you're saying to yourself, murmuring, complaining, talking to yourself, once you really listen to yourself, you can stop it and change it. Have like a gnat flying around or something like that. Okay, the third one here. How delays are refinements, not punishments. I kind of like that, because why the universe isn't giving you what you want yet? It's delayed because you're self-refining. You're not being punished. God doesn't punish you. Okay, that's such a lower consciousness thinking. Most of us, when we go into religion, when we go into God, most of us view God how we view our own earthly father, our own earthly parents. Okay, if you were brought up in a loving family, you tend to have a loving relationship with God. If you didn't grow up in a loving family, if your dad was very abusive, if your dad was never around, if your dad always screamed at you, punished you, stuff like that, played mental games with you, whatever, and it could be way worse than that. That's going to be your view of God. Bottom line, that's where people start thinking God punishes. Okay, I mean, it's such a hard concept. It's such a hard higher consciousness that the amount of love God has for you is a love you've never experienced before. Does that make sense? Like, well, if you believe that you're a spiritual being, heaven is within you, the Holy Spirit is inside you, God dwells inside you. So if God dwells inside you, listen to this. If God dwells inside you, if you would sit there and say, well, God is perfect, well, that makes you perfect, because God dwells inside you. When he dwells inside you, you're endowed with his powers. If God is perfect, makes you perfect. If God is all love, that makes you all love. Does that make sense? If God is all abundant, that makes you abundant. You just have to see it. This is where kind of free will comes into place a little bit, because you as a spiritual being, you didn't lose power. What you lost is you lost that connection of knowing who you really are. Even Jesus, I think he said this somewhere in John, in the book of John in the New Testament. He's talking to his disciples, and his disciples are drilling him like just questions, and he stops and says, "Isn't it written in the law that you are all gods?" He's calling his disciples all gods. Why is he calling the disciples all gods? Is because Jesus dwells inside you. God is within you. He's not living up in the clouds. He's not living up in the clouds with the Care Bears like we've been taught. He's inside you. Bottom line. Okay, he's here. Okay, that's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you can call the unseen into the seen. You know? So like the delays kind of come back to timing and readiness. Like the delays are you need time to get ready for what you want. Meaning that if you want your dream car, well, you're still operating from your old. It comes back to your identity again. It comes right back. You're still operating from your old identity, and you need time to. This is your new identity, the person who has your dream car. You got to become a better version of you, and you need time to do that. Bottom line, this is what timing is. You need time to do that, and this can be quick. You know what I mean? And this can take a long time. The reason it takes a long time is because we got a lot of junk inside us. Okay. Most of that junk is from a kid, you know, or when we were a kid. But as far as like, if you think God punishes, or that's something maybe you've heard in the past, you've heard your parents say this, your grandparents, you've hung around with different friends in the past that would always say this, and now you tend to kind of believe it a little bit. Uh, um, you gotta get that out of your mind. Okay, you're not being punished. Okay, that's when you have those types of thoughts, those thoughts are not of God. Bottom line. Okay. Now, if you want to believe in Satan, those thoughts of a those thoughts are coming from Satan. It's not coming from God. Okay, because God wants to see you prosper. God wants to see you abundant. That's the whole reason why Jesus came to earth, is preach abundance on earth. Bottom line. Okay, the fourth one here. Now, the fifth one is, I'm going to give an example, but the fourth one is the power of choosing faith over frustration. And I love this one is because, let me go back to the question, why the universe isn't giving it to me yet. And it's the power of choosing faith over frustration. Okay, now I love the word faith because for me anyway, when I say faith, I faith doesn't really ring a bell to me. You know what I mean? Because I think the word faith has been so overly used that it just has no bearing on me, just because so many people use that word just so much out of context and they don't believe it themselves. So, like, remember, when you have faith in something, you believe it's going to happen. That's another word for faith, is belief. Okay. If you don't believe me, research this stuff. Other what was that? Other cinnamons, or how do I say cinnamon? But you know what I mean. Other words that mean the same thing. Okay, I can't say that word. I don't know why. Too early. Let's use that. Let's use that one. It was too early. I can't say that word. But you got to change these words to make it more stronger for yourself. When you have faith in something, you believe it's going to happen. When you believe it's going to happen, you expect it. Bottom line. If you really expect something to happen, the next phase is you demand it. Okay. Now since I kind of been talking about the Bible a lot here, is it's the whole ask, believe, and receive. Okay, you ask what you want, and the next phase is you believe you're going to have it. You have faith you're going to have it. You believe you're going to have it. When you believe you're going to get something for real, you expect it. Does that make sense? Like think back when you were a kid for a second, and maybe it was around your birthday time, Christmas time, a holiday time, and maybe you run up to your parents and tell them what you want. Maybe they ask you, and when you tell them what you want for your birthday, you believe you're going to have it. But more so, you expect you're going to get it. It's at that expectation. Okay. As a kid, you're not controlling the how. You're not running around trying to figure out, like, ooh, where is it? Where is it? You know what I mean? Or you're not going back and asking them 100 times a day. You just believe that they're going to give it to you. Bottom line. So the power of choosing belief over frustration. And I love this is because lots of times what happens when we get frustrated, okay, listen, this is where self-awareness comes in. What do you do when you get frustrated? Do you have little meltdowns? Do you have little temper tantrums? Do you start going inside and start talking to yourself really negative? Do you, like, for example, this is one of the things that I hear people always say is, I knew it wasn't going to, once they get frustrated, I knew it wasn't going to happen. I knew from the beginning when I started this manifesting BS, it wasn't going to happen. I knew from the beginning when I started setting the intention to have my dream car, it wasn't going to work. Do you say those things? Or do you catch yourself say those things? Because this is an alarm. I mean, if you catch yourself that you're saying these things, even to yourself, I mean, a great big alarm should be going off right now, because that's the whole reason why it didn't come to you right there. Because you can't fool the universe. You know, really deep down, if you're telling yourself, oh, it's not going to work, it's not going to flip and work, period. Okay. And sometimes, like in the past, like when I would talk to my mom, I would hear my mom say stuff like this. Is like she would, maybe it would be like, losing weight, or maybe it was like some type of health product or something like that. Or maybe she's changing her routine. Then after a few weeks, when she's not getting the results that she really wants, I would hear her say things like that, where it's like, oh, I knew it wasn't going to work. I knew from the beginning it wasn't going to work. And it's like, okay, but if you knew it was going to work, you pretty much got what you wanted. Manifesting worked because it gave you what you wanted. What did you really, really want secretly that it wasn't going to work? It's a self-reflection. So if you're doing that, that's what I'm really talking about, is what are you telling yourself in secret? But that's what's really coming to you. This is what takes time to get away with all this junk that you've been just doing for years and years and years. This is the true timing and readiness. This is the true choosing faith, choosing belief over frustration. Okay, this is the real reason why delays are coming in your life, is because you're still working on you. You're still working on that identity. You're still working on your own belief. That has nothing to do with God. That's nothing to do with God punishing you, or God don't think you're ready. Okay, you're not ready because you're working off your old identity. Bottom line. Getting all frustrated myself. Now the fifth one here I wrote down is a personal story, how delays become breakthroughs. Okay. And I think that for myself, how delays become breakthroughs is, for one, I don't think of it as a delay. I think of it how we're kind of talking now. It's your identity. When things are not coming to you, it means that I'm doing something. Okay. Lots of times we're attached to it. Lots of times we're secretly looking for it. We're not acting as if. We're not acting like the person who really has what we want. I mean, just the same thing like Neville Goddard's Live in the End. Okay. This confuses the hell out of people most of the time. Is, Chad, I don't know how I would act. Chad, I don't know how I would act if I was a millionaire. I don't know how I would act if I lived in my dream house. I don't know how I would act if I was driving my dream car. Well, I can tell you right now, if you live in your dream house, it's just like living in your house right now. Period. Okay. It's just like if you live in an apartment, it's just like living in an apartment. If you live in a dream house, it's the same thing. You're making it too hard. It's the same. Okay. What do I mean by that? Is when you already have what you want, you're not overthinking it. You don't wake up and you're constantly thinking about it 100 times a day. You don't. You tend to, it's out of sight, out of mind. You forget about it. Isn't it so true? Like, think about it. Like when you bought your first car, you're all excited, but after you buy your car, after a few months down the road, it's just like a normal car. You're not thinking about your car no more. And when you do think about your car, you're grateful that you have it. Does that make sense? Like when I bought like my office is over beyond this wall here. When I bought all my computer equipment and upgraded maybe like a year ago, I don't think about my computer equipment every single day. I don't look in my office and say, is it still there? You know what I mean? But when I do think about it, honestly, when I do think about it, I'm super grateful for having it. It's that gratitude I have for having it. Okay. That's the sense of it. We're overthinking this stuff. We're overthinking this stuff too much. Most of the time is like when Never was living in the end, you act as if. Most of the time you acting as if, it's just out of sight, out of mind. You're not thinking about it no more. Because if you already have it, you're not thinking about it. If I already had $1 million in the bank, I've already had $15 million in the bank. I'm not waking up thinking about it. I'm not thinking about it all through the day like you are right now. I'm just going on with my day. Okay. And sometimes naturally you're going on through your day. Well, I don't need this because I already have enough money. Oh, I don't need that. I already have enough money. You know what I mean? I don't need to do that because whatever. I'm not giving negative energy to anything because I truly already have it. See, that's the state you have to shift in. And another state to that, when we're talking about money, is a money example. If you have $1 million in a bank, well, this is how you have to train yourself. Is when you go grocery shopping, well, I can buy anything I want in here. Start an affirmation. Every time I spend money, money comes back to me double. Okay. Thank you, Lord. I got money to buy anything I want. Every time you pay your bills, if you're a type of person that you sit down and pay your bills, you're having a little meltdowns inside of you. You're like, oh my God, I gotta pay my bills. Then you're talking about it to your friends and your best friends and your significant other. Stop doing that stuff. Because if you had $1 million in the bank, 100% guaranteed you won't be doing that. So your actions that you're doing are not aligned with that new identity of yourself. So there's a lot of action that you're doing are just contradicting what you really want. Sorry about that. I gotta get this notification off. That's really what's going on. And what I love about like breakthroughs and personal stories is, and I always say this, is, and it doesn't even come from me. Okay, it comes from Neville Goddard. This is why Neville Goddard said that he's never seen law of assumption fail. He's never seen someone not get what they want. The only way they don't get what they want is they just stop and give up. But with Neville Goddard, he says, I've never seen it fail. Because what did Neville Goddard know that you don't know? Why would Neville Goddard say this? He's never seen it fail. But this is what Neville Goddard knew. It's like, if you don't give up and you hang in there, you're going to get 100% what you want. Because he knew eventually, no matter how long it takes you, your old identity to your new identity, no matter how long it takes you to shift over here and give up the old and become new, no matter how long it takes, you're going to get what you want. You got to hang in there. You got to stop putting a timestamp to stuff. Okay. You know what I mean? You just get up and you start behaving like you think you would behave. And it takes work. It takes practice. Because it takes work and practice. I mean, even through my own life, there's some things that I'm not attached to at all. And that's when I learned things come into my life rather quick. There's other things that I'm more attached to. And it's an unhealthy attachment. So what I want kind of stays away from me until I learn to let that go. Until I learn to, I think my hat's like sitting on crooked. Like I'm doing this video, my hat's like sitting like this. But that's the whole thing is I kind of lost my train of thought there. Sorry about that. But if you hang in there, 100% is going to work. You got to tell yourself that. You got to stop putting a timestamp on it. Because once you put a timestamp on it, you're flipping looking for it. When you're looking for it, you're controlling the how. You're controlling one or two places that can come through your lower consciousness of your mind, your 3D world, your five senses. You're trying to figure it out, but you can't. That frustrates you. And frustration leads to worry and doubt. Worry and doubt leads to fear. And fear, by Napoleon Hill, fear is crippling. Fear makes you stop and give up, and throw in a towel, and fear makes you run back to your comfort zone. Okay. And this is comical because when people complain about their life, and once they hit that fear barrier, they're run back to the same life that they complained about. It's like an oxymoron. Okay. We're all going to have things that we fear, and we have to learn to walk in faith and not in belief. We have to learn to we keep moving forward, and the how will be shown to us. Does that make sense? We keep on moving forward in belief, and the how will be shown to you. And let me give you an example really quick, and within what we're talking about here is when I manifested my my Thailand visa. Remember, I'm under 50. Okay, I'm not retirement age in Thailand. So if you're under retirement age, you're under 50. It for you to like live in Thailand and sometimes even live in another country, it can be very difficult. Now you can do it, and you see a lot of young people do it, but how they're really doing it is they're doing tourist visas, doing border runs, jumping around. Then they have to leave Thailand, jump to another country for a month, and come back to Thailand. That's why you see them. They're not telling you this, but that's why you see them always jumping around because they have to because they don't have a visa. Or maybe they do an education visa to study Thai, and that kind of keeps them in the country for a year. They're doing something like that. But for me, I didn't want to do an education visa, and I got tired of doing tourist visas and border runs and jumping around. So, and I always go back and forth to kind of set the premise here. I always go back and I always go back to the United States and visit my family for a few months, and I come back to Thailand. So one time I came to Thailand, I set this intention, and I was only going to be in Thailand for 6 months because that was when my niece was getting married and she wanted me to come back and go to the wedding. So I said, sure, I'll come back and go to the wedding. So I was only staying in Thailand for 6 months. So when I came that time, I did a tourist visa. So that gave me 3 months. And I did a couple border runs, and that gave me up to 6 months. So, but I set an intention that time, and I said, you know what? When I go to the wedding and come back, I'm coming back in a 1-year visa. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm coming back in a 1-year visa and a multiple entry. And every time I thought about me coming back to Thailand, I would tell myself this almost like an affirmation. But when I come back to Thailand, I'm coming back for on a 1-year visa. And lo and behold, this is how it worked out. This is what I mean. You need to walk in faith. You need to keep on moving forward. Okay. When I went home to my niece's wedding. After my niece's wedding, I was home about a month. In a month, I still didn't have no sign of what visa I was on. But in a month, I had to book my flight because I always book my flight like 2.5, 3 months out just to keep the prices down. So I still moved forward, booked my flight. Then at that point, I still didn't even think about my visa. Then it came down to the wire. It came down to about 3.5 weeks before my flight left. And that's the cusp. That's the borderline. You really want to play it safe. You really want to file your visa like 4 weeks before your flight leaves, just in case immigration is crazy busy, so forth and so forth. So it was like 3.5 weeks. So I had to sit down and file something before my flight leaves to give it time to get approved. When I sat down to file, I thought I was going to have to file the tourist visa. Bottom line, when I sat down, my mind was, I'm just going to file the tourist visa. But when I sat down and went to file and I looked at the visas, 2 days prior, Thailand came out with a new visa program called the Destination Thailand Visa. And the Destination Thailand Visa is a 5-year visa, multiple entry, meaning I can come and leave whenever I want. Plus, I can stay in Thailand for 1 year without leaving. And I filed for that visa, and I got approved for it. So that's the whole concept of you still need to keep on moving forward, and the how will be shown to you. Because when you keep on moving forward, it's showing your faith and belief around what you want. I'm not stopping. You see what I did here? Like for some of you, and I'm guilty of this too, okay, with some things, not everything, okay? I'm human, okay? But with some of you, you would have flew back to the United States. You set this intention that I'm going to have a 1-year visa. And when you went back to your country, you're just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting for this 1-year visa. And you don't book your flight. You don't go back to Thailand. You don't do nothing. You're just sitting there waiting, waiting, waiting. Okay. What if God, the universe, is waiting for your own faith and belief, meaning you're still moving forward? Like for me, when I went there, I went to my niece's wedding. I was there about a month, and I was like, oh crap, I got to book my ticket because I'm going to book it 2.5 months out. That's what I did. So I'm still moving forward in faith and belief. Okay. Once I booked my ticket, I still didn't have my tourist visa. I meant my visa. I still didn't have my attention yet. I still didn't know. Okay. Now I did know that I still had time. I did to give you transparency here, because you don't need to file your visa right away. But when it came down to the wire, like 3.5 weeks before my flight was leaving, I was like, I got to sit down and file. I got to sit down and file something. So honestly, when I sat down to file, I thought I was going to file a tourist visa. But right when I sat down to file, boom, that's when everything manifested. That's when everything came together. Clear up, not way back here, but clear up until I had to file my visa. That's when the attention came to me. That's when it was shown to me. Oh. And the more and more when I manifest, it's more like that. It's more you moving forward and still doing your thing. And you let go of the attachment. You let go of the how. That's when things are kind of shown to you. But you still move forward. That's why you hear people tell you, maybe you listen to Neville Goddard. Maybe you're digging deep into living in the end, dwelling in the end. I'll post a video down below about that as well in the description. Is that's why people are telling you that I totally had a brain fart. I'm sorry. I mean, that's why people are telling you when you live in the end, you move on with your day. When you go to sleep at night in that state and you get up, you still move on with your day. You still carry on with your day. You still go hang out with your buds. If you're a gamer, you're still playing games. You want to sit down and watch a movie, you sit down and watch a movie. You still continue on with your normal day because when you do that, it lets go of that attachment and it puts you in that now state. It puts you in the present moment. Okay. Remember, the present moment is very strong. There isn't a past or a future. It's present moment. It's the now. Okay. You have a lot of power in the now. And you just moving on and doing your thing throughout the day. Maybe it's work. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. Maybe you're building a business, building a brand. Whatever you're doing, hanging out with your buds, going to college. You moving on with your day. And you let the dead bury the dead. You don't control the how. You just have faith and belief that it's going to come to you. See, that's really, truly living in the end. You're moving on with your day. You're still living life. And the better you get with that, that's when things will start coming to you rather quickly, my friends. But other than that, we've been going on for like 40 minutes or so. And I know we dug a little bit deep, wrote things down, kind of stay on topic here. But anyway, remember, as we're kind of moving on here, today is Sunday. So remember, have a blessed week when you go on. Tomorrow is Monday. Some of you might be stressed about that. But remember, don't get attached to it. Okay, you're gonna have a blessed day. You're gonna have a blessed week. You're gonna have a blessed Monday. Okay, you gotta think that way. Okay, and if you don't think that way, I'm gonna assume it that way to be that way anyway for you. But anyway, remember we have the Super Think Spotlight. That any question you have, this is really what the Sunday Coffee Talks are for, is digging into those Super Thanks Spotlights. And it's a Super Thanks on any video. It doesn't have to be a Super Thanks on the Coffee Talks because I can pull those from the YouTube studio rather easy, and it doesn't get so much lost in everybody's comments. That's why we do Super Thanks. But remember we got that going on. Other than that, blessings to you. Remember, if you want to be part of the tribe, the link is in the description. If you want to work with me, the link is in the description as well. Any videos that I refer to in this Coffee Talk rule, the link will be in the description as well. Especially how to dwell within, because I brought that up. That will be in the description. That's an excellent video. I think I did that about a year and a half ago. That drives really. If you really want to know how to live in the end, that's an excellent video to watch. Sorry about that. I'm drinking my coffee. I'm burping at the same time. But it's all about being authentic, baby. This is a one-take wonder. The only thing I take out is maybe I take out some, I have a brain fart and I take out some dead air in there. So you don't have to sit there and watch me think what I was saying. But anyway, peace out. Blessings to you. Remember, I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next Coffee Talk.